Great. So it does show us live on our YouTube and Facebook account. And I am just sharing this out. My phone decided to quit working on me. So I'm trying to do this from the browser.
That's not nice.
I know. It's like I abuse it or something by using it so often. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was like an 8 hour yesterday. I was trying to replace it and I was redirected to 3 different stores by the time I finally was able to.
Lovely. Well, yesterday my city website or connection quit, so I
Oh
was
my gosh.
I thought it was weird that by noon I had no emails. That's sign
Yeah,
something's wrong.
something's not working right, for sure. It's always, and when technology happens like this, you don't realize how much we're so connected
Yes.
until that happens. And then you're like, this is a little too calming. I can't get anything done. I'm starting to see a few folks that are hopping on here with us. I know that the first few minutes are always a little bit of just kind of random conversation that we're having, but feel free to join into this conversation by starting to engage with us on the video directly. You can like it. You can, of course, hit the share button so others in your network can see that we're live. If you are a first-time viewer on any of our broadcasts, then know that we host these at least a couple of times a week, generally on Mondays when we do have our mayor or mayor pro tem elected officials from the city level, give updates on what's going on in our community and things that you should be aware of. And then Wednesdays, we really reserve for those of you that are wanting to learn more about our businesses that make our community amazing. And so we try and welcome them to our organization with this broadcast and give you a chance to meet them individually. If you haven't already done so, you should know my spiel right now by this point in time. You can connect with us on all things social media. We're, of course, streaming this here on Facebook at the same time on our YouTube channel. So if you're viewing from YouTube, thank you for viewing. If you're viewing on Facebook, very much welcome, appreciate you. And then connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Our Instagram is back up and running. I did not make the mistake that I did before of writing the birth date a little too young, and I gave you all that warning. So you don't have your accounts end up getting frozen or, no access to them. So we're at West D Chamber on all of those platforms, West D Chamber Official on Instagram. But as you are engaging with this broadcast or you start viewing it with us, we like to try and converse with our guests. And we do so by peppering them with a bunch of questions to learn more about them, and also take any questions that you might have and ask them as well. So the comment section is your best friend. This is where you can engage with us with good morning pleasantries. You can type in any comments or questions. We'll be able to see any of those and pull them on our screen and be able to display them. So I know that we already have a quick comment that's come to us from Parker Brown. I just wanted to pull this up as a great example. Parker is giving a quick good morning message to Mayor McNally, Nancy, and myself. Thank you, Parker, for being on here. Your photo will display your name and then the comment, and we'll be able to read that and engage with you. So now that
he's probably busy getting kids ready for school, or it took them to school and said happy first day, because I know everybody's been doing that the last couple of days.
That is so true. And my feed is starting to show the, first day of school, last day of school from this, time period to now. And that's how when back to school is back up and running. But those of you who may not be aware, we have a great guest with us today, and that's
Juliet, if you can hear me, you froze on my end.
Are you still with me?
I am. You froze on
Okay.
me.
Sorry, I started talking. I was like, oh, this spinning circle probably means they can't hear me anymore. But our awesome guest is Mayor McNally. You may know her, of course, from serving our city in the past as a mayor, currently as the mayor, and really helping to shape our future of our community. What you may not know, and this is why we have her on here today, is that she's also a business owner in our community and has been doing so for several years. So, Nancy, I'm very excited to have you on here with us this morning to talk more about Made and Created.
Thank you. Welcome to you can see the thread on the back, hoops in the background. There's a sewing machine to the left and there's a sewing machine to the right. And there's one downstairs because I've been making rugs down there and I need a big place as we go round and round and round.
So we are in your warehouse right now, or in your studio space, your creative
You are
outlet.
in my happy place.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of that space. It's always so sacred whenever you're kind of working on something special to you. But let's have folks know a little bit more about your business, really when you started up and what you do.
Well, I was sort of shocked when I was renewing Made and Created's name just a few months ago. And I've been in business 11 years as Made and Created, and things have evolved during that time. I started as machine embroidery. And during the time that Shay was in the hospital, our grandson with cancer, the days were long. So I decided I had just gotten this new software. I needed to learn it. And that has evolved into, I now teach the embroidery software for the for Above and Beyond Sewing and Vacuum, and we do that once a month. And then in the year after we started just the machine embroidery, I was sort of shocked when I was renewing Made and Created.
Oh, are you still with me?
Yeah.
Weird. I was getting
we have ghosts.
But yes.
So then the next year, the state legislature passed the Cottage Food Producer Act, the Food Act, and that was with things that you can make at home that will not spoil. So like the peanut brittle that the police department calls me the crack lady for, I could finally sell. And it's my dad's recipe. He always only made the peanut brittle. And during the 7 years in hospitals, the doctors and nurses would say, well, have you ever made this? Have you ever made that? Shay would say, well, Grandma, you should try this and you should try that. So when I was home, we did concoct some other creations. And so we now sell almond, cashew, the peanut, and walnut. And so I had great test tasters during that time in the hospital, and they loved it. And it's the exact same recipe. You just add different nuts. And what we found was, especially in the almond, it makes it so light. It's almost like, think of cotton candy. And it truly isn't what most people say, oh, I hate brittle because it's so hard and it cracks my teeth. Right. Well, my dad's recipe is pretty light. The peanut is the hardest of all of them, but the other nuts with their oils, they do melt in your mouth, and people will say that once you get them to try it. But I know everybody likes something different. I also then started doing caramels and sometimes do some other things because there's a whole list of things. And if anybody out there has great recipes and you want to sell from your house or go out to the farmers markets and sell, and you need this license in order to do it, it's $40 through CSU Extension. It's easy to do. You can do it online. And I would be happy to coach anybody and help anybody get started, because I love it, because I can work from my home. I don't have any overhead. I just love it. And when I'm in my sewing space, I'm happy because it's my four walls of just me and the sewing machine and the humming of that and making fun things.
Oh my goodness. You have shared so much with us in this window. Congratulations on 11 years. That is quite a milestone. And hopefully, we can have some sort of a celebration to recognize that with you. But that is exciting. And it's really exciting that you're carrying on this family history and tradition with you along the way.
Well, you'll laugh when I called my mom and said, well, I can sell Dad's brittle now. And I said, but I need a name. And there's this silence. And she was in her 90s. So I
Right.
thought, well, gosh, did I cause a heart attack or something? She's not answering because
Oh
she
my
was in
God.
Omaha. And I'm going, Mom, Mom. And she just said quietly in her grace, she said, I think you already named it. So it is called Dad's brittle.
Yeah, that is so sweet. Oh my gosh.
And then a few years ago, I thought under cottage food I could do dog biscuits for our furry friends. And
Yeah.
that was not true. They tapped me and said, you need to go through the state agriculture. So I have bitchin' biscuits for sale for little furry friends. And so that's another piece of Made and Created. So we're
That
just
is
pretty
awesome.
flexible.
Well, and you're adding things. I like that you're thinking of creative ways that you can spin on things that you already have and are doing quite well. And I can attest the brittle when I believe I tried the peanut and I used it to, it was right before I went to a training session and I used it to coerce my coach to give me a really light session and it worked. He loved it. And yeah, we ended up having so it is not only delicious, but you can negotiate things in life with this brittle if you use it right. So I do love that you shared about the license and for folks that may be interested in starting up their own venture or maybe have their own ideas, our solopreneurs, entrepreneurs out there, anytime that there is this opportunity for them to do it in a way that's not as cost restrictive as the overhead that might be associated with entering the market is always
And in
nice.
Westminster, you just apply for your business license and there is not a cost to that for cottage foods. So it's a win-win.
That is amazing. Now, your other side, outside of all this deliciousness that we talked about, is also related to I can't even say it's just sewing or crocheting because you have such a window of products that you
Mhm.
produce. So, can we share a little bit more about how that originated
Sure.
and your interest
The kids kept, I was working downtown in the bond business with brokers and whatnot. And I was down there 10 years and I'd bring in different things and they would all, from the other assistants I worked with to our bosses, would say, why are you here? Why don't you open your own business? Well, probably with Shay having cancer and our world turning a little bit different on a journey, that's probably what piloted everything. So things do come out of hard times too. And so I just have some fun things here to show you what has
in?
happened. I do onesies, and this one says "Someone in Colorado loves you" with the Colorado flag. I also have one that says "Made in Colorado" because if they were conceived here, then they were made in Colorado, and those are just fun things to give to kids. I have a craft fair coming up November 5th through the city, through the MAC, and I make these little snowballs. This little girl is one of my favorites with her sassy eyelashes, but they're washable. They're stuffed with, these aren't, I haven't sewn the back ends yet, but they just have the polyfill. So they're very lightweight. They're made for indoor fun. Um,
Mhm.
and you can do those. I also probably, the gifts that I have are some that people don't know that I have. I have a whole zoo on my www.madeandcreated.com site. And the reason I can put just about anything on this tummy is because he has a zipper back here, and this is all polyfill that I take out so that I can get my hoop in here. So it's not every animal I can embroider on, but I carry those on my website where I can put a hoop and we can figure out in a 4-inch space what all you want for your message. Last Christmas, I made some cute little gnome pillows and had those for sale.
Yeah.
Um, I have wine bottles that can say anything that you want them to say for a Christmas gift. And then here's a couple of fun. I love making these, but they're big and So here's a scene
Oh,
that
that's
this
gorgeous.
one's going to a daughter in Breckenridge, and that will
Mhm.
hang somewhere in her home. This one doesn't have a home yet, but it is called Santa's Workshop, and it's all in grays. It is, I forget how many spools of gray and white, but
Yes.
it is just gorgeous.
You can
And then,
actually see the contrast of the grays in the light.
yeah, and then this one is the nativity scene in the stable. So anyway, those are the fun things that I do. That, and I've got two more of these that I've made that are downstairs getting put together. One is a scene of a snowman with a little cardinal and a little birdhouse, and the other one is old fashioned watering can with flags and beautiful flowers for patriotic stuff. So I have some smaller fun Halloween things you can see on my website that I've done picture wise. They may not be up yet, but I also have a Christmas scene that I've done that are smaller, that are more for wall hanging type things. So um, if I could show you the wall where all the designs are that I create from, there isn't hardly anything I don't have, but I know where to find something if I don't have it. And so that's probably the best kept secret about Made and Created is, yes, I do embroidery, but I can put it on aprons. I've had different people for wedding showers ask me to do
Mhm.
certain things. So if you have the idea, let me know. We will see what we can create. If I can't do it, I'll share that with you. But I've done some crazy things. I even sew for the lady that she has outfits for. Mack truck has a little bulldog, and he's about this big
Yes.
as a foot ornament. If
Mhm.
you see one that has either the police, the fire, or construction worker on it, I have made those outfits. I'm her behind the scenes sewer, and she
Oh.
sells the outfits. So I do a little bit of whatever needs to be done in the community.
Yeah, no, and it's that's the nice thing about being your own boss is that you can be so flexible and choose to take on projects and not take on the ones that you don't want to. But what it sounds like, and this is such a great approach, is that you generally say yes, and then you figure out where to get those things done and how to do them in the right way. So I love that approach. We have several people that are tuned in with us now. Emilio, thank you for the quick hello message that you're giving us. And John also hopped in and said homemade swag, and that is a huge part of the name, Made and Created. It is a homemade business, and it's a production. Honestly, I had no idea you were doing all of this stuff, Nancy. I
Oh,
honestly, I only thought it was brittle, and so I was like, I know her brittle is crack. Everyone talks about it, but what else is she doing? The website that Nancy is referencing is included in the comment section for you, and I'm quickly displaying it as well. And you can go to this website and find a number of items that Nancy already does and has touched on. And of course, as she shared, if there's something that you're interested in, more along the line of custom work, you can also reach out to her on that as well. I have to say that the biscuits, the name is just hilarious.
my daughter named him. My husband hates it, but Bits and Biscuits is right here. And we use Gibbs as our little pug here. We use his
Yeah.
silhouette
Oh,
with his little footprints. But I really talked to our vet about this because it's made with 100% pumpkin, 100% peanut butter. I had no idea what was in peanut butter until I really started looking at
yeah.
ingredients and found the organic pumpkin or the peanut butter. So it is just peanut butter. And then I do it only in wheat or almond flour because we have diabetic grandpuppies
Yeah.
that can't have the wheat flour and stuff. But everything else that's in it, the cinnamon, the pumpkin, and the peanut butter, help with their system with
Mhm.
what they go through with their insulin stuff,
Sure.
and it slows things down. So the doctors said just make it with almond and that'll be better than the wheat for them. And so
Oh.
they get special treats from grandma.
Well, this little guy decided to jump up
Oh,
As soon
hi,
as you heard the
precious.
little rapping, he just decided to come over and make a little debut.
Hi.
So,
Did you hear
um,
the rapping?
he
Huh?
did hear the rapping. He's so excited about it. We'll have to try and get him to try that for sure. But I that is also another component to it, is that you're putting in the care of thinking about the pets. And there are products that are out there, that I always research everything before I try and feed it to my little one. So it's really nice to hear that you've thought through some of those ingredients, because I wouldn't have ever thought, peanut butter and some of those other things could have those allergens that trigger. And the older that the pets get, I know your babies are older, mine is as well. The harder it is for them to digest and some of the aches that they naturally have. So
Yes.
that's
And
also
and Gibbs always knows when one of the batches is in the oven, so he will sit and patiently wait for coolness and then look at me like, "Well,
yeah.
don't you need your taste tester?"
Right. Like he volunteers. Like, no one
Yes.
volunteers that fast for
And
anything.
his waistline shows it.
Oh my goodness. Well,
The
more.
only other thing that is probably a secret is I'm a digitizer. I taught myself through three other great digitizers that I've learned from, John Deere, Steve Wilson, and Walter Floriani.
Oh yes.
Those were hours and hours that I spent in the hospital rooms learning that. And so I can take a picture and make it into stitches. That's called digitizing. So when you go to most embroidery shops and you only need one thing, uh, they will laugh and say they don't do that.
Right.
And I have just a one-time fee for digitizing. They do too, because that's where the time is. Once it's digitized, I can put it on whatever you need it put on, as long as my hoops fit to get it in there. And so that has been probably where I found the niche in machine embroidery. Is I have done things with 400 items, but more I do 20 or under because it's a small business. First of all, I found a lot of artists that called me and said, well, I can't get my logo anywhere. And they've got beautiful logos. And I said, well, this is the cost, but once it's done, then it's just the cost of putting it on your shirt, bag, towel, whatever you want. So that's really in the small businesses, people like myself that I am
Yeah.
made and created, and I want something on a shirt or something. That has become really my bread and butter, is for the very, very small business, because I
Mhm.
will. And if once we have something ready to go, it
Sure.
usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. And I'll tell them, bring your jacket, because that's the other thing. You don't have to buy products from me, except maybe the animals, because of how we have to get into them.
Right.
But if you've already got two fleece jackets and you don't need a third, why would I say I can't put it on that?
Mhm.
So they'll sit downstairs, I'll embroider, they'll walk out the door with their embroidered shirts. So
Yeah.
um, I really try to be customer friendly and help people have their logos seen too.
Yeah, no, and that is so important that you went into detail on that, because I've seen where if you're not buying in bulk or a larger quantity, it's so hard to justify the costs that's behind it for one, and then the ability for some of those businesses to take you on, because as you said, their market's a little bit different. They're focused on the huge quantity, and so I do know that a lot turn away folks that are at the smaller amount. So it's really nice to know that you provide that, and the types of items are so many. Do you also, I'm going to ask this, and then I see before I lose her, our county commissioner Tracy Kraft-Tharp is giving us a quick good morning message.
Hi, Tracy.
Thank you for being on here, Tracy. Do you also stud and put like in any of those like bling or embellishments on jackets and coats and things like that, or is it mainly thread of their logo and patches and things?
I haven't put the bling on. Now, one of the big designs that I didn't show, it's in the other room.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas tree with a fireplace setting, and it's as big as these. But on the Christmas tree, the different ornaments in that have Swarovski
Yes, crystals.
crystals on it, and on the garland has the crystals. So it popped with. So I do have all of the
Equipment for it.
equipment to do it.
Yes.
The only things I've done it on is my machine embroidery stuff, but
Okay.
I do have
That's
it.
great to know. That was mainly like my personal, that was mainly me asking for myself. But for those of you that are tuned in with us, we have Nancy McNally. She is the owner of Made and Created. She is a newer member of our chamber. We're very excited to have her on here. She's celebrating over 11 years in business to date, which always goes by, I feel like, so fast. Sometimes it feels, especially at the start, like it feels a little bit different than now, when you're in this growth and maturity that you've been in. Her website, if you did not see it earlier, I'm quickly flashing it on the screen. It's also included in the comment section for you to be able to see. You can find all of her products. They're not just seasonal. So I know we talked about Christmas, and we saw some of these nice mats that she's produced, and wall art, and all of this great stuff. A lot of the work that she also does is year round. I mean, you are popping babies year round, you are celebrating year round, with those, wine bottles or onesies, or any of those items that she has are definitely not seasonal. They're the entire year, which is so great to know. Was there anything I did not ask you, Nancy, that you were really interested in getting out to folks to let them know, whether it's about you or your business or anything in general?
I'm looking over the notes with what you gave me.
Yes.
I would just say local people, because I sell out of my house, and people just come here to either talk to me or grab their stuff, especially during Christmas. The neighbors know it's peanut brittle season when people are coming and going, and all of the peanut brittle going out. People need to understand, in the state of Colorado, we just recently, in the last couple of years, had permission to even have a website to sell our brittle or whatever we're selling in that world of cottage food. So I can only sell within the state of Colorado for those things. And but when you buy things, I don't ask where it's going. So that's not my business. So you buy it from me here, or any cottage food producer. And like I said, we do have our laws that we have to go by, but that's are able to sell it finally in Colorado on our website, but
Yes.
that's as far as we can go. So some people just don't understand all of those things. Now with the
Sure.
embroidery stuff, I've had orders from anywhere, so it doesn't matter. So
And where can people find you outside of, going to your home and being, of course, out in all community events that you're in? But are you also at farmers market? I know you mentioned kind of the craft events down
right.
at the MAC and things like that.
When I was first starting, I did, because it's all about name recognition. And right now, probably 90% of my business is because of word of mouth. And I don't really need to do, because I am just one person, I don't need to do a whole bunch other, because I'm only one person. And it keeps me plenty busy. But once in a while, I have to have my husband help with, if I'm out of the ties that I use for tying on my card and stuff. He gets that job, and then he gets free peanut brittle or whatever. But anyway, but so the two places I will be this year, because of time and other commitments. October, I think it's a Friday and Saturday, 23rd and 24th. If that's October or September, I will be at Oktoberfest at our church at 10th and Laurel in Broomfield. And then I will be at the MAC November 5th for the MAC, and I will have everything there because we're able to sell the cottage foods things there. So you'll have peanut brittle, but that's really still too early to, I will only have it in $8 bags or $5 bags, because it's too early to buy for Christmas
massive
gifts.
quantity.
I like you to have it as fresh as possible. So, that's the reason. Just call me, and or email me is the easiest way. You don't have to do it on the website or anything. If you're local, just call. It's easier for me to ask all the questions, get your orders so it's perfect, and because you have choices, you can get the peanut brittle in a round. It's about 12 inches, depending on how it pours that day because of rain or moisture in the air. And do you want it broken up? Do you only want a half a batch? All of those questions, which kind of nut. So it's just easier to call me.
Absolutely. And what I've done is you were sharing how they can connect with you on these items. Of course, they can call you. I listed this phone number right off your website, and that's 720-988-0423, where you can, of course, email McNally at madeandcreated.com. And yes, I am very excited to connect with you closer to the holidays for that. But I know I'll be connecting on some of these other things that you're doing. So if you are a small business or someone in the community that's looking for any of this work that Nancy does, I highly encourage you to support local and to reinvest your dollars in business owners like herself. And if you don't necessarily need an item, which I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't need one of the things that you've gone over. I mean, I'm not just saying that. Like I mean, if you're alive, then other people in your life probably have those occasions happening as well. So there is all the reason that you should be connecting with Nancy. But if you don't have one for some reason, you can always share out this message so others can know and can connect with her, especially before the year kind of goes by a little too fast and then you run out of time to get anything done. So again, I want to thank all of you that are tuned in, whether you do in the morning, evening, afternoon. Nancy, it has been such a pleasure to actually learn more about you and your business, and get to be in your workshop with you. And I can't wait to continue to see the work that you produce for your customers.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. And I'm glad I surprised you a little.
Yes, you sure did. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.